All right, welcome back to the Crypto ZX channel. If you're new, please consider subscribing. But now let's talk about none other than SUI itself. Shout out to the SUI community for showing tremendous amount of love. The overwhelming support has just been, absolutely insane, and it's much appreciated. Continue supporting, and as you guys know, you will continue to see these daily updates. But if we're looking across the board as we are going into Sunday morning, we are seeing the market picking up traction. As we can see, a lot of altcoins over the course of the last 24 hours are up, including SUI up about 2.2%. But let's take a closer look and see what we're looking at. But before I do that, as always, just a quick disclaimer: anything on this channel is not financial advice. Always do your own due diligence and research when you are investing in crypto. So currently, the price of SUI is considered at $1.82, up 1.9% in USD and about 1.7% in Bitcoin comparative. Market cap still hovering above 5 billion, which is nice to see, and the 24-hour trading volume at about $463.1 million. But if you're looking at the Bitcoin dominance index here, you're looking at the Bitcoin dominance index, of course, just a few hours ago was able to hit a new yearly high. And again, something that we've been discussing on the channel for quite some time. So shouldn't really be a big shocker for us. But since then, since after it hit a new yearly high of 59.75%, you have seen a little bit of a downside in the dominance index, which in return has caused the likes of Bitcoin, but the likes of some of these altcoins to actually go in the green. But one thing you want to be focusing on Bitcoin is that Bitcoin also saw a little bit of an uptick within its price. Of course, nothing obviously as to what we have seen over the course of the last few days. The retest up to those $69,000 level, but a little bit of an uptick in returning dominance going down, that will bring in a little bit of excitement within the altcoins, and that's what we're seeing right now. And I think that is the huge catalyst behind the move right now that we're seeing across the board. But with that said, extremely important, as we know, about a week left until the US elections. It's a big event that's taking place. And people were calling me crazy just a few months back, when I was talking about that, we could potentially start seeing, leading up to the election, a little bit of volatility within the price of Bitcoin. And that's exactly what we're seeing happening right now. Sometimes, events like this, specifically the US election, arguably the most important election ever in the history of the United States. Obviously, it's going to have an impact on the industry, and whales are going to definitely come and shake out the weak hands, which we actually have been seeing lately. But Bitcoin holding still good. It's still facing that same exact key resistance. We've been talking about this key resistance. If we're able to break out of this key resistance, I think we could retest the likes of $69,000 once again. But still I am, holding on to my original theory that I think leading into, closer to those dates, I would not be surprised if Bitcoin actually does decide to correct. If that does tend to happen, it wouldn't be coming as a big surprise to me or anyone on the Crypto ZX channel. But if you're looking at SUI right now, so of course we know that SUI's price went down to the $1.63. Not a lot of people being happy about that. But again, what can you do, right? You need to understand, when things are going absolutely insane, you completely forget the fact that, this is not sustainable. There will come a time where you see the price of SUI actually becoming correlated with the broader market, and that's what you need to understand. Yes, there are some coins in the market, when they build traction, they're not as much correlated to the price of Bitcoin or the dominance index, but that's not sustainable. It's not always just going to go up in a straight one line, because if it was that easy, everyone would be doing it, right? So obviously now, after SUI was able to hit an all-time high this specific month at $2.35. Now, as we are going into November, as we know what's happening in November now, this is bringing more uncertainty within the space, and of course within the price of SUI as well, which in return is causing the price to actually start being correlated with the price of Bitcoin. This is what you need to understand, and only a few people pay attention to this. But we did go to the likes of $1.64. We know about that, and obviously that was a support. I saw about an 11% bounce since that specific level. So, just Bitcoin dominance dropping a little bit has, really took the price of SUI back up to the likes of $1.80 plus. But with that said, you are noticing, literally as we're recording this update, we actually have some significant amount of resistance coming in its way. And if this resistance is able to break out, I would not be surprised if we're able to reclaim back above that $2 price point for SUI. So, in terms of momentum, I think the momentum is still definitely there for the likes of SUI, to actually, retest all-time highs. But with that said, we cannot ignore what happens with Bitcoin, and we cannot ignore the US election. And, speaking about the retracement itself, we spoke about this yesterday. From its all-time high, SUI did drop about 30%. So, just a quick reminder to everyone that, this is why it's so important to lock in profits. People tend to call me crazy when I say, lock in profits, but don't listen to the trolls online saying don't lock in profits. Always lock in profits. Always listen to your gut. If the money that you have in your portfolio is too much that you cannot afford to lose, that is the best sign that you can ever get for yourself to lock in some profits. I cannot stress this enough. But so far so good. Of course, we're seeing a little bit of an uptick within its price. Would not be surprised if we're able to break out of this resistance, and if Bitcoin is able to maintain at the levels where we are at. I would not be surprised if SUI does make its way back up to $2. But with that said, going into the election week, I do expect more downside for Bitcoin, to shake out the weekends, and I think that could potentially bring the price of SUI back down to these levels that we have retested. But let me know in the comments down below what you guys think. Love each and every one of you guys. We'll see you tomorrow in Crypto ZX, and peace out.